Hello and welcome to another episode of Suit to Sweat. I am your host, Amber Fascio, the Lifestyle Architect. And on tonight's episode, we are going to be discussing the 40-40-20 rule and manifesting the body you desire through constant right thinking. That's right, tonight's episode is all about getting your mindset right. But before we jump into the discussion, just a few housekeeping tips. Make sure that you hit that like button below, then hit the share button so you can share this amazing content with all of your family and friends. And then lastly, if you ever have any questions whatsoever throughout this broadcast, you can comment below or you can hit up my email which is up at the top at info@amberfascio.com, and I'll be happy to answer whatever you might need me to. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's discussion. The reason why this topic is so near and dear to my heart is because before I finally lost the weight, I went through many years of yo-yo dieting. And I think a number of people watching this can relate to that. The clear difference between my yo-yo dieting and my final and successful attempt at losing weight is that there was a major mental shift that preceded my current being. So this last time that I lost the weight, which ended up being about 40 pounds, I went through this entire goal setting process and whatnot that got me prepared for the journey. And that is what we're really going to be talking about today, because it is my belief that health and wellness goals are not just tied to the physical actions you do in the gym. Many of you have probably heard the rule 80-20, okay? 80% of what you do is in the kitchen, 20% is in the gym. However, I'm throwing that formula completely out the window. I hope it doesn't make anybody upset because I know, this idea has been around for quite some time. But I'm throwing it out of the window because in reality, you can do all of those things perfectly and still fail if the mind is not part of the process. So I like to say that it's 40% mindset, 40% of what you do in the kitchen, and then the last 20% is designated to what you physically do in the gym. Because if you cannot actually imagine yourself having something, then you'll never hold it in your hand. It'll never materialize in your physical presence. And so that mindset piece is so crucial for the journey that many of you are about to take. Or even better, you can only attract the things that you feel like you actually deserve. And this is why everything in this world has a negative or a positive energy. And then in this case, I'll be referencing your emotions and your thoughts. You see, when we put energy out there, we automatically attract the equivalent energy back to us. Or a more simplified way of saying it is like attracts like. If you've heard The Secret, this is what it's all about. Like attracts like. Okay, meaning if you put positive thoughts and emotions, you will create a positive physical reality. So if you want to lose weight and you've got a lot of weight to lose, then you actually have to see yourself being the ideal weight that you want to be. But if you walk into the gym every day and you're like, oh, this is so hard, this journey isn't going to work for me, then guess what? More than likely, it's not going to work for you. Okay, all of the things that are actually standing before you right now, wherever you're sitting at watching this broadcast, everything in your surroundings were created by some type of energy that you put out at some point or another. What you see in the mirror now are actually the culmination of your thoughts maybe a couple of weeks ago that have now materialized into your existence. Okay, so if you are, let's say you're 200 pounds and you want to lose weight, well, you have to understand where you are now is a result of your thoughts from many years ago. So you can't expect that the weight's just going to fall off just because you woke up this morning and changed your thoughts. However, the changing of your thoughts in this moment are starting to create energies that are starting to move. But you have to be able to see where you want to go now before you actually get there. The thought has to precede the action and not vice versa. So if you're just running to the gym and the thought of where you want to go hasn't gone there with you, hasn't preceded that action, then you're doing it backwards. And so that is just something else that you have to be mindful of. Now, you may be wondering, gee, Amber, all of this this energy stuff, it really, really sounds great. But what does it have to do with the gym goals? Well, I want to tell you it has everything to do with your gym goals. And some of you may have already heard this story, but if not, I'll give it to you right now. Olympic swimmer Michael Phelps is probably the perfect example of what visualization can do for you. You see, a while back in an interview, he was asked about how does he run such good races? How does he not get deterred by all of the commotion and all of the things that are happening in the pool? And he responded that before every single race, he imagines himself running the race. He feels every single stroke of the water. He feels the temperature of the water. He sees himself crossing the finish line, and he has that same emotional response that he would have had he actually won a regular race. So he's not only attaching the thought of what he's trying to do, but he's also including the emotions, which are much more powerful than our thoughts. Because, and if you look at, any successful person, almost every single one of them will tell you the same thing that we just talked about in this Michael Phelps story. They all visualize, they've had vision boards, they have goals, they have milestones, they have all of these little things that help them imagine the place that they actually want to go to. So I always caution my gym newbies, all of my people who are just going to gym, and even for those of you who've been at it for years, maybe you haven't seen results, I always caution you this. When you come to the gym, you cannot remain constantly focused on the mountain of work that is standing before you, because actually thinking about that mountain does not make the mountain move, okay? When you think hard about all of the work that you have to do, it actually makes the mountain grow, because we're pulling into our existence equal energy. So if you walk into that gym thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to be such a difficult workout, then guess what? That workout is going to be ridiculously hard on you. Okay, so you actually have to surrender to the process, so we don't want to think about how hard this journey is going to be. Instead, we want to surrender to the process. We want to trust in the process. We want to go along with all of the steps that we have to take and treat it as if it's a little spring hike through the mountain, and just get excited about the climb up the mountain. So instead of thinking like, oh my goodness, look how far I have to go, instead, as you go up that mountain, begin to think, wow, look how close I'm getting to the peak. With every single step that I'm making, I am getting closer to the person that I want to be, the person that I desire. Guess what? I can see. Because if you can see that in location, if you can see the end result, then you can get there. But you can't get to the peak of a mountain that you can't see, that you cannot visualize, that you don't know where it is. So you always have to mind your thoughts, not only in your health and wellness goals, but really in anything. This applies to anything. So if you're looking at this for any other reason, guess what? These rules still remain the same. You have to walk into everything with the equivalent energy that you hope to get out of it, because where your energy goes, where your thoughts go, your energy flows. Okay? And so if you begin to think, wow, this journey is way hard, guess what? It will be so hard until you eventually give up. And then when you give up, you've ingrained a new thought in your head that this is impossible. And so each time that you go back and forth to do this journey, it becomes harder and harder. That's why once a person has failed at an exercise program, it becomes even harder for them to do it again. Okay? So this is one of the main reasons why I went ahead and I adjusted the formula. You can call it the Amber formula. It is the 40-40-20 rule. I hope that catches on. Everybody make sure you like and you share that and you tell everybody about it. The Amber 40-40-20 rule, because it's time to change that rule. Because you can cook all the right food and you can go to the gym and still not lose weight. Because what if I meal prep my food but my mindset isn't right? Then guess what? I'm going to leave the food in my refrigerator, or it's not going to go into my belly. It might go into somebody else's belly, but it's not going into mine if my mindset is not right. I have had many weeks where I have actually had all my food prepared. I've had it in the car with me. I had it ready to eat. And then I threw it in the trash can and went got ice cream. I've done it. This is somebody who's lost 40 pounds, and I've still done things like that. And sometimes I still do things like that when I fall off track. Okay? So we've got to make sure that we get our mindset right and prepared for the journey that we are about to do. Now, I realize that this is an easier thing. It's easier said than done, particularly when we have all different types of things in our environment that say otherwise, okay? We are all human and we all have lapses in our energy. The key is identifying when you are falling into a negative state of mind and then doing what is necessary to course correct, or rather to right the ship, okay? Sometimes we don't follow the meal plan to the T. It happens. I already told you about all of that. Okay. So the best way for you to do that, you have to ask yourself, if you ever find yourself in a situation where things just feel incredibly hard, when you are manifesting the right way, when you are doing things in the right energy, it's never going to be hard. Okay. So if you look at something, you go, man, that was hard. Then you got to take a step back and check your mindset, because here's the thing. Everything is about perception. Okay. I remember I would go to the gym and I love it when I sweat. When I don't sweat, the workout just doesn't feel right. But I can go through that same workout, and a negative person can go through that same exact workout that I just went through. And they'll feel the sweat and go, oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. This is so hard. Myself and that person are about to have two very totally different experiences, because our mindset is different. He isn't in any more or less shape than I am, but he's got a different mindset. And my mindset is a mindset of a winner. And that winning mindset is going to take me places that person over there simply can't get to. So always mind your thoughts, but most importantly, mind your emotions, because your emotions are so much more powerful than any thought that you can conceive of. Because I know I can say many things. Doesn't mean that I'll actually get them done. But when we put an emotion behind something, those things actually do get done. So whenever you create a thought, make sure that you you're putting with it the right emotion, because that emotion is going to get done. And you better make sure that it is a positive emotion. Anyways, that is all that I have for tonight's show. I could go on for days about this particular topic, and I really, really love talking about it. But what I would prefer that we do is that if you have any other questions about manifestation, about visualization, that you put those comments below, and I will make subsequent episodes based on those comments. Because like I said, we could continue to talk about this all night, and it is actually one of my favorite discussions to talk about. So how about that? Put the discussion questions that you have below, and I'm going to bring a panel back next time, and we're going to have several people on here to kind of answer those questions, because this can really get not animated, but joyful. I should say it's a joyful conversation to have. Anyways, thank you for joining another episode of Suit to Sweat. You can find all of these episodes archived on my Patreon account, and you can find those details below if you ever want to go back and reference anything. And of course, if you have any questions, email me at info@amberfascio.com. Thanks for joining.